Hello, and thank you for choosing Hot and Consulting. Today, we are going to go over the incredible tool called the Visual Composer. The Visual Composer is used both in WordPress pages as well as WordPress posts. So once you've created a page, in order to get into the Visual Composer, you're going to click this button, the Backend Editor. And you can see the name of it here, Visual Composer. So in this video, we're going to go over the basics of the Visual Composer and really focus on how to organize content within it. So the first step is to add an element or a text block. I tend to add a text block first because on pretty much every single page you're going to want to have at least a little bit of text. So this is just a good starting point. So when I do that, it automatically creates a row for me. So this entire thing is considered the row, and within it is the text block. So I'm just going to copy this text block to show you what I mean by the text block is inside the row. So now we have two text blocks, and these are two separate objects that exist inside of this row. And you can see we actually have the ability to move them around, which is really, really helpful when you're designing a page with a lot of content and you want to be able to have the ability to move things around quickly. So the other really awesome thing about this is that you can set your columns. So say I want to have a page in this section with 3 columns. I click the 3 column button and it separates them into 3 columns. And so now all my content's gone into the first one, but I can just pick it up and I can move this piece over here. And maybe I want 2 text boxes and then an image in the middle. The simplest way to add an image to a row or a column is just to click single image, and then you just click add image, choose an image from your media library, and then click save changes. When you're dealing with the Visual Composer, you're definitely going to want to be previewing your page consistently so you can determine whether or not it's looking the way that you want it to look. So I'm going to click preview and see what it looks like so far. Okay, so I see that it is set up, which is sort of the automated generic page template with my content on the left-hand side here because it's leaving room for the widget areas over here. But on my website, I don't include widget areas on pages, and in most of my clients' websites, probably yours, you're not going to have widgets here either. So in order to make our content go across the full display, what we're going to do is we're going to go back, we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and we're going to go under page settings to this section called content layout, click the drop down menu and click full screen. When you have full screen selected, you'll see now that the content will spread out. Okay, but now we've run into another problem. We see that the content is going completely to the edges on each side, which in some cases, depending on the style of design that you want, you may want your content to go across the website completely. Like maybe you have a series of really big images, that's okay. But for this, we're going to want it to just stick into the center of the screen. So there's an easy fix for that, and it's in the row. So you go back to the row, all the way at the top, the pencil icon, you see it says edit this row, click that. You're going to scroll down, and you're going to click on center row content and say yes, save changes. And then we're going to go back and preview this. So now you can see that by centering the content within the row, our content is located exactly where we want it to be. So I'm going to go back to the page and just show you a couple of more organizational things. So if you have a lot of content, you might want to add another row. And maybe we want this row to have 2 columns. And let's just, for the ease of it, copy these images and put them in these columns. So just so we can see what it will look like. And then say maybe, I'd rather these be up on top. So we want to switch them around. So all we have to do is grab this row, pull it above and let go. And now all of a sudden this content is above this content, which is really awesome and convenient. So let's preview that. Awesome. So you can see that we have these pictures, and again we're running into the same issue as we did before, that they're going off of the screen, but that is because the focus of centering is set specifically to the row. So if you want all of your content to be centered, you can either include it all in the same row, or you're just going to have to go through and set the center selection for each row individually, which only takes a second, so it's not that big of a deal. I just want to show you one more thing that you can do in terms of organizing your content if you have a lot of it and it becomes pretty complex. So you do have the ability to create a row inside of a row if need be. So let's say you want to have I'm just going to do 2 rows inside of here. Okay, so you can tell now I have my primary row here, and then I have 1 and 2 inside of it. And the reason that you would do something like this would be because of a design requirement. For instance, if you want to put a background image on a row, I'm going to click Edit, and then you go to the Background tab, and you select an image and click Save. And then here, let's say, all right, so for this one, we just want to have some general content. We're going to click a text box. We're going to edit it. This will be the title. So make this go in the middle, make it really big, and we'll save that. And then in here, oops, you know what? We're gonna make this 2 columns. And let's say, for example, we want to add a content box. Let's see here. A featured box, let's do this. Or an icon box, that will work. These look pretty cool. And it already has some text in there. This is the style of how it will look. So say we want the icon to be on top. We'll do that. Boxed and top icon. So there's gonna be a box around it, and maybe the background color, want it to be like a little bit off-white, something like that. So we'll save those changes. And then we're just gonna copy this and put it over here. So this would be like the title, and then these 2 boxes might be describing the title, whatever it is that your topic is. So let's preview this and see how that looks. Okay. So you can see once again that this background image is stretching across the whole site. And then also our content is stretching across the whole site because we forgot to center it because it was a new row. So let's go back and center it and see what happens. And remember, I'm choosing, before I do this, I'm choosing the topmost level of the row. The row starts here. Whenever there's a white gap between the content at the top, that means a new row has started. And it's the first pencil icon. That's the row that we're editing. So we want to center everything by clicking yes and save those changes. Now let's preview it and see what it looks like. So you can see that the background image in the standard position, of which we didn't alter, does maintain its stretch across the website, which in most cases when you're adding a background image, you're going to want to stick with that because that's just a good design approach. It makes things look better. So this whole section is a single row, including 2 rows within it. This first one, which is just one space. There's one column here, and we've centered the text. And then underneath it, we have 2 columns. So this is an example of the type of organization of content that you're going to want to use when you want to use a background image and multiple types of columns within that section. And the last thing that I want to show you is how to add spacing between your content. So say that you think, oh, there needs to be more space above this will be the title. I think that there should be some more space there, maybe equal to what's below it. We're going to go back and I'm going to click this plus sign, and actually we'll do it in here. And so here are all of our options of modules to include in the columns. And we're going to look for the spacing one. So it's called spacing. You click it. And at the top there, it defaults to 30 pixels, which in most cases, that's going to be about the amount that you will want. I find that I stick with this 30 pixels more than not. If you want to increase it, you have the ability to change it. So if you want to bring it up to 50, we could do that too, but let's just try 30 and see how it looks. So don't touch anything else and just click save. You can see now it's here, spacing 30 pixels above this title. So we're going to preview it. And now you can see that we have about, the same amount of spacing above the title as we do below it. So that looks a lot better. I think we can stick with that. So overall, this is the general approach to organizing your content structurally within the tool, the Visual Composer. Now, I didn't do this on a post page, but the Visual Composer functions exactly the same way on a post page as it does on a regular page. The only difference in visualizing it is going to be when you go to the preview section on a post page, the standard is that you have a widget area on the right hand side of content, so you pretty much only have 70% of the page's area for your post content. So you'll just probably want to put a little bit less information there so that it's organized to look better in that geometric configuration. All right, I hope this helps. Thanks a lot.